If you guys enjoy what I do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free and easy to do. Before we get started with today's video, I have an announcement to make. After years of telling other people's stories, I finally released one of my own. My novel Eternal Reign is available now in both ebook and paperback format for those of you who are like me and prefer to collect physical media. You can grab a copy right now on Amazon through the link in the description of this video. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. In Tuliolal, Brook Evu, the owner of a very popular restaurant in the city, has been waiting for the Warrior of Light to come by because he has a job for her, one that is extremely important. His establishment serves anyone, whether they're a native of Tyrol or not, so sometimes he gets a few weird customers. Normally he doesn't care because he's a businessman, so as long as they don't cause any trouble in his place, he minds the business that pays him. But a group of people recently came by who were a bit more weird than usual. They were in the process of starting up a clearly evil secret society, led by a Vieira woman named Apiahi, and they were obviously new at the whole evil group thing since they chose a very public place to have their meeting, and they were talking so loud that everyone heard them. They call themselves the Passage of the Unbound, and their goal is to spread chaos throughout the world. They're what you'd get if you ordered the Legion of Doom off Temu, but their goal is to become a real threat to the world. To do that, they have to acquire real power, and Apiahi knows how they can do that. There are powerful relics around Tyrol that in their hands could be used to do some real damage, and right now they're in the hands of the few different tribes scattered around the area. She's heard that each relic contains the power of a Tyrol Vidral, which are animals with extreme levels of power, similar to the four lords of Kugane. Putting that type of power in anyone's hands would make them a credible threat to the world, and since they plan on stealing the objects and heading to Eorzea to cause problems, Brook Evu thought it might be a good idea to tell people about this little incident, partially because they didn't even order any food before they left. He told the Landsguard, but it turns out that while the Unbound aren't all that good at the whole secret part, they are dangerous. They were not only able to deal with the soldiers that came after them, people from some of the more isolated tribes started showing up claiming that they'd been robbed. Before a more serious hunt could be made for them, the entire group had headed to Eorzea with their prizes. Each tribe has sent someone to recover their stolen goods, but they don't know anything about Eorzea. That's where you come in. They need someone who knows the area and can help them on their mission, and they've been hanging around the restaurant waiting for someone like you to show up. Since each tribesman has their own specialty, they all need someone with a unique skill set to help them deal with the power of their relic. Lord Zenque needs someone who can take a lot of punishment in battle. Nilpine needs someone who has healing magic to counter the diseases that his relic can cause. Shashpia needs someone who can fight up close and give the hunter they sent a chance to put some arrows in their thief. Suhei doesn't know much about her relic other than it's dangerous, so she wants some type of magic user to help her guard against whatever it can do. And lastly, Rahoja needs someone good at taking things out from a distance, since getting close to his relic isn't all that safe for anyone. Lord Zenque is happy to see that somebody finally came to help her and her people out with their not-so-little problem. She's from the northernmost part of Jacques Tarral, the really cold part, and her people kept an artifact known as the Cradle of the Sleepless until it was stolen not that long ago. It has the power to take away the wielder's exhaustion and give it to someone else, which is how the creature whose powers were sealed inside of it managed to stay awake and full of energy indefinitely. As far as she knows, there's no way to block the relic's power, so it doesn't matter how strong the target is, the Cradle will make them fall asleep. That is a very dangerous power for some random person to have, so the people sent out their greatest warrior, Tentawa, to go and get it back. Lord Zenque wanted to go with them, but since she can't exactly fight or do much else, she decided to stay behind and try to find someone more capable to send as backup. That's where the Warrior of Light comes in. Tentawa recently sent a letter saying that he had tracked their target to Ishgard, so you head there to track him down. It's not hard to find the oddly dressed young man since he's been going around asking people a lot of questions. That sort of thing tends to annoy people, which is the easiest way to make an impression. It's not going to make a good impression, but it's one that will last. Since Ishgard isn't a place that's all too friendly to outsiders, Tentawa hasn't exactly been having a lot of luck getting information. So when you show up to offer help, he's extremely grateful, especially after you tell him that his friend sent you. He had tracked the thief to Ishgard where he had expected to see some signs of her using the relic, but so far she hasn't done anything with it, so he had to resort to giving her description to random people to see if anyone recognized her. She kind of stands out since she's an Elysian with red hair and a big scar on her face, but no one will admit to seeing her or even knowing someone with that description. She came to their village pretending to be a scholar under a name that was as fake as her degree. She had brought a large shipment of food though, and since Tentawa's people hadn't had a good harvest the year before, they couldn't afford to turn her away. The way the woman had carried herself made it clear that she was some type of fighter, which should have been made even more obvious by the fact that she had passed through some pretty dangerous territory on her own to reach their village. They ignored all of the lies right up until the woman stole their relic and ran off. If she carries herself like a warrior, the Temple Knights would have definitely marked her when she came to the city. So the Warrior of Light takes Tentawa to the congregation to ask them if they've seen her. Under normal circumstances, the Knights wouldn't share information with an outsider, but if he's someone that the hero of the Dragon Song War vouches for, that's more than enough to make him trustworthy. The Knights know exactly who the woman is. Her name is Leofine, and she used to be a Temple Knight. She wasn't exactly what you'd call an upstanding member of the Order, and her questionable behavior got her kicked out, and no one had seen her since then. They had thought the shame of her exile would keep her from getting into more trouble, but now that they know that she's joined forces with the terrorist group, hunting her down before she can cause any more problems has been moved up on their priority list, and they agree to share any information that they find with the two of you. Tentawa's not going to sit around and wait for the Temple Knights to hunt the woman down for him, and after doing a bit of thinking, he comes up with a method that might help him get a lead. He's decided to start looking around for people sleeping in weird places. His homeland is about as cold as Ishgard, and one thing everyone who lives in cold places knows is falling asleep without the right preparations is a good way to lose body parts. So if someone is asleep in a place that might kill them, there's a good chance that they were put to sleep against their will, and Leofine might be close by. It's not the best way to track the woman down, but it's better than nothing. However, before you can get started, Firmalbert comes up to the two of you claiming to have some good news. The Temple Knights work fast, and a few of them have seen your target near Camp Dragonhead. Not wasting any time, the two of you head out there to see if the Knights know exactly where she went. The Knights on duty don't know all that much since they only saw the direction the woman was headed in. But while they're telling you where she was heading, a call comes in saying that a supply shipment has been attacked by monsters and something's happened to the Knights who were supposed to be guarding it. The hunt for Leofine will have to wait for a bit, since the Warrior of Light and Tentawa race off to save the supply train. Once you deal with the creatures, you notice that some of the Knights aren't moving. At first you thought that they'd been killed, but they're actually asleep. Only one Knight is still awake, and she had to watch her entire squad simply fall asleep wherever they were standing. That was when the creatures decided to attack. The fallen Knights don't stay asleep for long, and when they wake up, they have no idea how they passed out, because sleeping on the job is not something that Temple Knights do. Ever. Tentawa starts to tell them that they were likely victims of his people's relic, but he decides to wait. This incident did prove that Leofine was there, but since she's probably long gone by now, the two of you head back to Ishgard to plan your next move. Firmalbert's heard about the Knights sleeping on the job and nearly getting everyone killed, so he's more than ready to punish the men. Tentawa tells him that Leofine had likely attacked them, but as far as he's concerned, they should have been prepared for anything. That part's not your problem, so Tentawa decides to tell you everything about the relic since you've seen its effects firsthand. The Cradle can put anyone to sleep, making them pretty easy to kill, but Tentawa's people never used it for that. They've used it to keep a single person called the Wide-Eye awake and fully energized non-stop. That was Tentawa's job, so he's been awake for 10 years straight, training his body every hour of every day, while avoiding all of the pesky things that come with working out like tired muscles and rest days. The only drawback is all of his exhaustion has to go somewhere. The person who takes on that burden is the Shut-Eye, and that job was held by Lois Enque. So while he's been awake for a decade, she's been asleep for nearly as long. The only time they wake her is so she can exercise and eat to keep her body from shutting down. That part kind of sucks. The two of them had been really close when they were growing up, but once they took their respective roles, there was no way for them to spend time together. Most of their lives have been spent protecting their village. That explains what the artifact was used for, but it doesn't tell you how the thing got stolen, especially considering how skilled a warrior Tentawa is. From his expression, you can tell that it wasn't exactly his fault, but he decides to not talk about it since how it happened doesn't matter. All that matters is finding the thing. He had been sending letters to Lois Enque to keep her up to date on how the hunt was going, but since he hasn't found anything and he doesn't want her to start worrying about him, he hasn't sent a letter for a while. The last time he used the Cradle was right before it got stolen, so he's getting very close to the moment where his exhaustion will overtake him and he'll have to sleep, which will give Leofine more time to do whatever she's been planning. Her plan clearly involves the Temple Knights because Firmalbert shows up to tell you that quite a few Knights have been hit by the relic, and every Knight who was put to sleep was in the middle of guarding someone. Most people don't know anything about the relic, so it just looks like the Knights are starting to care so little about their missions that they're sleeping on the job. To make matters even worse, the Knights were put to sleep in some very unflattering positions. Fortunately, none of the people they were guarding died, but they won't always be that lucky. Even though these incidents aren't doing good things for the Knight's reputations, Leofine's attacks aren't exactly going to bring down Ishgard's government, and since that's the passage of the Unbound's goal, the woman must be planning something bigger once she fully learns what the artifact can do. It'll be a good idea to find her before she can do that, and Tentawa thinks the best way to do that will be to figure out why she keeps going after the Knights. She was a Knight, so she knows how they operate, so she could be going after them because they're easy targets, which means following a few Knights around might give you a chance to catch the woman. A pretty big group of them were recently sent to Kurus to make sure the heretics or any other unsavory folks don't set up shop in the area again. They definitely won't mind having 2 more capable fighters with them, so the Warrior of Light and Tentawa head out there to join them. By the time you get there, Leofine has already started her attack on the Knights by knocking some of them out. She's not alone and was clearly planning on doing more than leaving the Knights unconscious this time, since she came with a group of not nice looking people. Tentawa is ready to kill her, which isn't exactly surprising. What is strange is the fact that Leofine has no idea who the Warrior of Light is. She genuinely thinks her group can kill you, which is kinda funny. She also doesn't really care about the Unbound's plan to topple governments. She just wants to destroy the Temple Knight's reputation since they ruined hers by kicking her out, despite the fact that it was her fault. The Unbound suck at recruiting useful members, but Tentawa doesn't care about her goals. He just wants the relic back and he goes to take it, only to get instantly put to sleep. The relic works way faster than the Warrior of Light thought, but fortunately it takes a bit of time to recharge after it steals someone's strength. So instead of putting you to sleep, Leofine sends her minions to kill the sleeping Tentawa while she leaves, forcing the Warrior of Light to protect him instead of taking the relic from her. With them beaten, the other Knights have time to wake up, but Tentawa seems to have been put into a much deeper sleep than they were, so they carry him back to Ishgard to wait for him to wake up. When he does, Leofine won't be the only thing that you have to deal with, because she used the relic to free a lot of criminals from the prison in Ishgard, and all of them hate the Temple Knights, and will have no problem helping her in her mission to destroy them. And that's where we're going to stop for today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, comment, share it, and subscribe. Grab a copy of my novel on your way out, and I'll see you all next time.